This is Gio Galvano, and you're checking out the 3 Count Podcast.
Hit him with a 3 count. Pin him to the ground and the crowd go wild, man down over y'all like. Hit him with a 3 count. On the top rope.
Everybody's gonna be hearing me as I'm saying that, which is fine. It's fine. It's fine. Okay, we're doing it live and without Chaz, so you guys don't worry about that part. But let's get into this because you know what? This is time. It is the debate show, and it is coming live on November 28th. This will be the last show of the month because, you know, fun fact, December is next week. That's why it's happening. But I am not Chaz. I'm not your uncle, your brother, your nephew, your cousin, whatever he says, that whole thing. And, you know, he's not here today, but I am. So let's get into this business of whooping some ass. But we got to go down the roster first and foremost. Let's give it up for our person who's always here, but he never has a real wrestling opinion because he doesn't really have a wrestling opinion. He just does whatever Wrestle Talk tells him to do. Give it up for the sleepy one, the one who's the college boy, JJ.
Drip driving, got the club vibing. Love the sidewalks for keeping me off the streets. Chitty chitty banging, study every day in. That's all.
It's wild, man.
My goodness.
You have just your intros, just the way that you handle them, bro. It's just magnificent. So, who is here today with us? We have a special guest. This man is just, if there was a building, this man would be the World Trade Center of Invictus Pro Wrestling. Give it up for the man himself, Alex Accetta. Welcome to the show, man.
Thank you very much for having me.
Bro, I am so
looking forward
excited.
to debating.
Yeah, it was funny because I saw your post and you're like, hey, I'm looking to get into the scene. Can I get into some debates? And I was like, yeah. I was like, this is happening. You're like one of my favorite guests that we had on Now Entering the Ring. And so I wanted to bring you back on. And I was like, let's do it. And yeah, we made it happen, Captain.
Yeah, man. Thank you for having me back. I'm excited to kind of change it up a little bit. Last time we were just interviewing. Now we're gonna get some bass in our voices, hopefully.
Yeah, definitely. And then also, you know, you, like we said, like you've been doing all the Invictus stuff. You know, we actually did an interview show and then we came out and just helped you set up the show. We got to enjoy the Invictus product, and you know, we're hopefully coming back out because we, you know, kind of lost some of the dates. So now that we get the dates put back together, we're gonna be back up in the area because we definitely want to be a part of Invictus because, you know, you guys have like this fun mission and just this fun drive. And I just, you know, I want you to kind of talk about like Invictus and what they stand for and, you know, how you guys became like the big entity that you are now.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. A lot's changed since the last time I was on, but man, basically our whole goal is, like you said, just to make wrestling fun. If it's not fun, there's no point in doing it. We want the talent to have fun. We want the fans to have fun. And variety is the name of the game. We hope to, you know, have something on our shows to please every taste, please every palate. We got a big show coming up on January 29th, Winter's Wrath, coming to you from the Knights of Columbus in Ridgefield Park, New Jersey. Haven't quite announced a lot of matches for that yet. We have announced that we got the women's championship match, Vicious Vicky defending her title against Kaya McKenna, y'all's homegirl from Maryland ways. So that's going to be great. It's been a match half a year in the making. So that's going to be good. Got a bunch of big names coming in that we have not announced yet, but if you follow our socials, you will find out very soon. And then we also have it's going to be confirmed soon, but you will hear it here first. We have a Final Call, which is going to be our exclusive New Year's special, which is going to be airing on IWTV and our YouTube channel on December 30th, I believe.
Awesome.
December, I gotta double check my thing, make sure I get it right. It is 29th. But that's going to have some exclusive, never before seen matches. interviews, behind the scenes footage, a lot more. So we got some big things up the pipeline, and I'm excited to share it with all of you.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna front. I'm super excited just to like see like the whole project get played out, and I will like literally put that in my calendar. So if you guys want January 29th, you guys can catch up with me at Invictus, because we're gonna make that. I'll just say that right now. Like I'll just be there, and whether I'm on a show or not, I'm not really worried. We can actually just have a lot of fun anyway and just enjoy it. The last time we were up there, we had a great time with Joey G, and sooner he ended up putting me on his podcast, and we brought him on our podcast. So we've had our cross promotions, and it's been awesome. So definitely big connections that are going. And like you said, Vicious Vicky, the vivacious Vicious Vicky, we had her actually on the show, as well as Kaya McKenna. She was on the show. So if you guys get a chance, go check them out on Now Entering the Ring, and then you guys can get an idea of who they are. And then when you get to find out how they're gonna clash, it's gonna be fucking awesome. And I dropped the F-bomb fully knowing we're gonna get demonetized, but I don't care. That match is gonna be awesome.
Kicking it EC Dub style.
Yeah. But we're not here to talk about what's going on, even though I do want to talk about what's going on with Invictus. But we're going to talk about some debate topics. But before we get into those debate topics, we got to talk about the match of the week. So since you are our new guy here, Alex, we're going to have you talk about your favorite match of the week.
Okay, so I'm going to go for a deep cut this week, and I mean that figuratively and literally, because match of the week, are we just limited to TV matches, or can we talk about indies as well?
You can talk about the indies.
In that case, then I got to give it to from H2O, which we were talking about earlier, their last November event, which took place this past weekend. Ricky Shane Page versus Matt Tremont, no ropes barbed wire match. Death matches are certainly an acquired taste. They are not always my cup of tea, but when they're done right, they are excellent. And I really got to hand it to Tremont and RSP. Story's been a year in the making, literally. Ricky Shane Page retired Tremont last year. And then him and his Ohio hooligans, 440, have been kind of like wreaking havoc in H2O ever since. And they did this really great story of like Tremont like sitting on the sidelines, like kind of watching his promotion be destroyed and not being able to do anything about it. And then with Onita kind of like goading Tremont out of retirement, it sort of gave him the opening to then come back and like fight for his promotion's honor. So I just thought it was like really refreshing to see some like actual well done, like long-term storytelling in the deathmatch sphere, which is like, I feel like it's a lot more sensational. You don't really see that as much. So I really enjoyed it. It's on IWTV. Would definitely recommend you check it out.
And there you go. JJ, your match of the week. You're on mute. See, this is why this is how I know. Like, you don't pay attention, man.
I didn't know if he was on mute or he was just thinking.
He was just like,
I know what it's like to be put on the spot like that, my dude.
Look, so I had to get my headphones in. So my match of the week would be the CM Punk match. I thought it was, I liked it. I thought it was a solid match, and then also coming off of that huge promo with MJF. So that's my match of the week. I know there are some other great matches in AEW per se, but I just personally like that match. So
okay, not bad. Full transparency, there is not a Red Dogs Power Rankings this week. Honestly, a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. And don't worry, you guys will see all that stuff come out here soon, because it's all going to be a part of the YouTube channel. But for me, I'm tossed up between two different matches because there's two different styles, right? One would be Roman Reigns versus Big E, right? I just liked two meaty men slapping meat.
Doesn't.
And then the other side of things, man, was Bryan Danielson and Cole Cabana. I thought that they told like this awesome story of a guy who was desperately trying to get a win in Chicago against a newer heel, because obviously Bryan Danielson now turning heel, and then like trying to do the one up on everything, whether it was chain wrestling, high flying, or even just hard hitting, and just couldn't get the job done, and I genuinely enjoyed it. And I was like, man, this is something that's captivated me, and I'm just riding like the high of it. So I'm tossed up between those two matches. So I think I'll just leave it at that and just call it time, just because it's different styles that we got to experience.
Yeah.
So we're getting into our first debate topic, and this is going to hit kind of close to home because, as many of you know, I'm a worker, right? Full transparency, I'm a worker, right? I'm making no secret, and neither does Chaz. So with the release of a bunch of WWE, MLW, Impact, these ROH, all their stars, right? The topic comes up as, will it be harder for younger indie talent to get booked on shows now that there's all these releases? And the way we'll go around is, I'm going to start with JJ, and then Alex, I'm going to let you go, and then I'll wrap up, and then we can have our debates after that.
I think it depends on your perspective. As a fan perspective, I find it that iron sharpens iron. So I think the more competition, the better product that you'll get. And that's just how I feel about it as a perspective of a fan. So that's the perspective that I'm going to take on it. Iron sharpens iron, diamonds sharpen diamond. It'll make a better product. We'll get better matches for it, and I think the independent scene could use that.
Okay. Alex?
Yeah. I mean, when the news came out about the most recent wave of releases, and I guess really before that as well, the big question that I kept seeing come up online is, where are they going to end up? Like, what place would be a good fit for all of these talents that have been released, or each of these talents that have been released. My big question isn't so much where they're going to end up as how they're going to be used. And what I mean by that is, it used to be for a very long time that when you have guys leave WWE and return to the independent circuit, they would come automatically elevated. So they'd come with this kind of automatic clout, and they, it was advantageous to promoters because these guys were both draws in and of themselves, but they could also be used to elevate new talent, build new talent, share their wisdom and experience behind the scenes. But now that's not necessarily the case, right? Because now you have, the turnaround. I mean, some of these new releases were with the company less than 6 months. So in a way, it's almost like a great equalizer between, the amount of releases coming out, and then also like the elevation of the indies. The indies are at an all-time high right now. So I feel like in a way, it almost puts everyone on the same playing field. Those spots aren't guaranteed to anyone. So like JJ was saying, I think iron sharpens iron. Competition is good for everyone. I got a lot more to say, but I want to hear your perspective first as a worker, because I am curious to know.
So I'm on two sides of it, right? I do see it's going to be a little tougher, right? And I say that only in the sense that although the indie scene is blooming, there's still limited places to work, right? And with that being said, and full transparency, we know that there's certain bookers out there who are going to get that big name person, and then they're going to bring in like a bunch of they're going to lowball a lot of other talent, and then those talent may or may not get something out of it. It just kind of depends on like what's going on. I am interested because I would love to be able to work a seminar with someone like Buddy Murphy, or like I just recently got to do one with Rich Swann, right? And this was like back actually in September. But he's still with Impact, but would love to be able to learn from like Buddy Murphy or a Malachi Black or Andrade El Idolo, right? Or just go work with, be able to work with, like Shane Taylor, right? From Ring of Honor, and Jay Lethal, because those guys are all free now. And then run with TJP, right? Because, he's not at Impact anymore. And I see all this talent, right? That's out there that when it comes to like East Coast, like, who knows, right? I mean, there's only really a week. There's 52 shows. Some promotions only run one every 3 months or maybe one every other month, right? So you're still limited on the spots that you can get to. And if you have these big names that kind of gobble up those spots, you're kind of left out there all alone on the island, and you're still trying to make that way through. What I have noticed, and it was something that we kind of like talked about behind the scenes a little bit, was there are promotions out there that are now understanding that they can develop a second show and bring more talent in, like younger talent, to help develop and make those guys better so they can be on those bigger shows. And I find that interesting. And I hope that a lot of companies will go that route, because then you can do a lot with that, right? So like you run like a Saturday afternoon show where you have like kids and shows, and kids come through and they can meet the wrestlers and stuff. And then you can do like the night show where like you can make that the 21 and plus or the 18 plus show and enjoy that atmosphere. But I don't think every promotion has the funds to be able to do something like that. And I think that's what worries me, is that they're going to be like, well, we'll put all our eggs in this basket and not worry about these homegrown talent that can like come and still connect with the crowd.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I said. So
how does this work? Do I just raise my hand?
you can just go ahead and say what you want to say.
You go ahead. Floor is yours, my guy.
You know, I'm a teacher as my shoot job, so I'm very anal about that. So yeah, and I mean, I agree. So my thing is, right, like from the promoter's perspective, is every time the news comes out about this like wave of releases, it's like obviously it's terrible. You never want to like, you know, celebrate someone losing their job. That's a really shitty thing to do. You know, as a promoter though, your initial response is that, besides the shock, depending on who it is, your initial response is, you know, excitement, because you're like, oh wow, all of these new talents have now entered the pool, the free agent pool. And these are all people that we could potentially bring in, and the dream matches and the, you know, all this stuff. But then if you're a smart promoter, you got to kind of rein yourself in a little bit, right? Because you got to realize that realistically, you know, unless you're one of these, you know, money marks that run these super cards and have unlimited, you know, talent and resources, there's really no way to do that. So you got to think in terms of like, you know, okay, what's going to be the best bang for your buck? You could run you know, a super card with, you know, put together all these dream matches with all of these new free agents that have just entered the talent pool. And you can make your money back pretty easily on that if you go about it right. Or can I bring in, you know, someone who has just been, you know, released that I know can work, and have them work with one of my upstarts, have them work with somebody that I've had my eye on and that I've been cultivating. You know, it kind of almost the saying, you know, teach a man, give a man a fish, he eats for a day, teach a man to fish, he eats for a lifetime. Right. You know, it's by using an established talent to build up someone that you've already, you know, that you've been working on. Now you have a homegrown draw that you can use, you know, for the future moving forward. So I think like it's really going to come down to, our promoters going to be able to kind of exercise that self-control and really be judicious about the way that they use, you know, this influx of talent. And I think as far as, you know, the workers on the indie scene, hopefully, you know, you agree with me, Cliff, is that I would say it's just motivation to work harder. Honestly, you know, with all this new competition coming in, like I said, the circumstances right now have evened the playing field. They really have. You know, it's no longer a case where, you know, guys are coming in and they're automatically being bumped up the card because they're a former WWE superstar. That doesn't carry as much weight as it used to now. You know, so the playing field is very much even. You know, these guys are re-entering the independent circuit, and they're very much, you know, coming in at the same level and still having to kind of earn their keep as everyone else. And it's exciting. It should be exciting. But that's my take on it.
No, and I do agree, right, that like it forces you to really like take a look inside yourself, and then like make sure that you have what's inside of you. And as a worker, I say this, that you have inside of you that grind ability that's going to make you stand out and continue to stand out, right? And to evolve and change and work hard. The other part that I really would like to see, right, is like, let's say Invictus, right? Invictus brings in Shane Strickland, right? And you're like, hey, we have Swerve Strickland is here on the card. We're gonna utilize him. Cool. What are we gonna do with him? Right? Like, well, we're gonna get him with a bunch of other wrestlers and they can run like a seminar and they can learn from him, and that helps grind him up. And then, like you said, we're gonna put him with like another talent, which, by the way, full transparency, I want to see it done. And if you can make this happen, this would be awesome. If we could get, Swerve Strickland, Isaiah Scott, whatever he's gonna go by, Swerve, and get Gio in a match together, you got all my money. Like, I'm in.
No, I mean, well, a more tangible, like an actual example of this would be at Aftershock, which was our November show. We brought in Danhausen, from Ring of Honor. And the thing is that we, when we had to pull back the curtain a little bit, when we had the booking meeting and we had him confirmed, but we didn't know who we would put him against yet. We were running down all these names of the, all these like indie darlings that, he could probably put on great matches with, entertaining matches with. And we were like, well, wait a second. Like, Danhausen works this kind of like, it's a more comedic style, but he can go in the ring. We said, who do we know that kind of is similar? Like, they have like they do the gimmick thing, but they can also go in the ring. I said, maybe our champion. And we said, all right, there's our main event. So, again, if we're bringing in Danhausen, we could have used him, to, just to put a marquee match up on the thing, a big dream match. But I feel like we took a chance and it paid off. We had him get in there with Leroy, who's a great talent, don't get me wrong. But as far as, renown and draw ability, wasn't quite at Danhausen's level. But, by having him get in there with him, we
right.
He's elevated now as a result. So that's a more tangible example, I think, from if we're looking at, Invictus.
And also when I saw that card too, I was like, that is like one of the most fun matches. Like, I would love to see like play out because
it was awesome.
Danhausen, get Wellhausen. All right, we'll see you when you make your reemergence. JJ, do you want to weigh in?
Honestly, I'm just soaking it all in. I'm just listening. Just like I was just listening to how you talk about the process, like being a booker and all that, and what should we do? I just wanted to take it in, so I'm just like listening. I'll chime in when I have something, but yeah, I'm just.
No, I feel you, man. It's don't get me wrong. It's extremely frustrating. I'm streamlining it, but it is the most tedious and frustrating thing. I said on another interview podcast that I was on, the booking is simultaneously the most fun part of running a promotion and the most frustrating part. It is like literally the best and worst part of running a company.
I mean, you seem to be doing all right. I don't see any gray hairs on you, so you're not stressed out too much.
This is men's touch of gray. I do a good job.
I remember like talking to you, I think it was like 2 weeks prior to us showing up to the Invictus event, and you were like, all right, I'm just gonna be honest, I don't answer any messages like the week of like the show because I'm just like locked in.
No, I'm like, don't. That's why, like, I tell this to workers all the time. Like, when you message the promoter like the night before and be like, hey brother, like, you got any spots open? Like, don't do that. Like, they have a million other things that they have to worry about the night before.
That's why.
Unless you know the guy, unless you know the promoter.
Right. Well, even at that, like, still be
even
respectful.
that,
like
little boundaries are good.
And that's why I was like, beforehand, you're like, hey, we have when do this next time? I was like, just send me the dates. I will legit, like, okay. So Keith, by the way, hi Keith, is in the chat room too. He's from SCWA, actually, in Glendale, West Virginia. He's one of those dudes that like if he sends me out, like sends me the dates or just tells me when the shows are going to be, or even just tells Nick to tell me, like that date is locked in for that company. And so I'm the same way with Invictus, because like I said, I genuinely enjoy your product. And I remember like when I first saw it, like really getting put together, and Mike Verna was on the show, and I was like, yo, I love Mike Verna. I was like, let me lock into this place. And then I talked to Ben. Ben's like, yeah, I'm in this place. I was like, oh, I'm definitely paying attention to locking this place down. So
watch.
It is, and you guys have such a fun product, and I love watching all the guys. And like you said, the locker room is just mad chill. Like everybody's just super cool, and I'm just like, oh, this is like a second home. And I was like, I can't wait to keep coming up here and just like hanging out. So
Leave your egos at the door. That's our rule.
love it. So we're gonna go talk about it. It's our next segment, Temp Check. So how Temp Check works: talk about your hottest wrestler, talk about your coldest wrestler, talk about your wrestler warming up, talk about your wrestler who's out of the box, in the box. It doesn't really matter. Just talk about what you want to talk about. So when we talk about Temp Check, tell us about who you think is the hottest wrestler or the coldest wrestler coming out this week. Alex, we're gonna go with you first.
Ooh, coming out of this week, you know what? Come back to me. I gotta kind of rack my brain a little bit here.
All right.
On the spot.
So JJ, give us that hottest or coldest wrestler.
So I got two hot wrestlers right now, and we're actually going to talk about them further in the debate show. Punk and MJF. They are red stinking hot right now. We'll talk later about the promo. I don't want to get too much into it. My coldest wrestler is Toni Storm.
Oof. Tough breaks for her. All right, so for me, the hottest wrestler for this week, I mean, he's not here to say it, so I'll say it. My tribal chief, your tribal chief, the man that sits at the head of the table himself, Roman Reigns, especially after what happened with SmackDown, whatever happened at Survivor Series, because we can't forget that was actually this past week too. So yes, Roman Reigns is that hot wrestler for this week. I will say coldest wrestler though. Somebody let me know where Kofi is.
You know what? That's a good one.
And I love Kofi, but ice. So we go back. Alex, what do you got?
All right. Thank you for letting me collect my thoughts a little bit. Okay, for hot wrestlers, I'm going to avoid again the obvious ones, because we'll talk about Punk and MJF. But I'm actually going to go with Kingston, Eddie Kingston. I feel like coming off of, first of all, I fucking loved his match with Punk. I thought it was great, and then to have him, pick up the win against Garcia this past week, I felt like that was like a good booking decision as far as kind of like letting the fans know, like, hey, he's not going anywhere. Even though he ate the loss, he's still very much a force to be reckoned with. I love Kingston. I've loved him since he was on the Indies. I am just so happy that he's in a place where he's being used properly. His on the mic, just his brawling ability in the ring. I mean, he makes it feel real. He just gets you hook, line, and sinker. So he's one that I would put that I would say is hot right now. As far as a cold wrestler, I gotta agree with you on the Toni Storm front. And the only thing is, like, I know it's no fault of her own. I just feel like, because I was a huge fan of her. Like, I was a big Progress fan, like the UK Indies when it was, rest in peace. Like, but her run in Progress was amazing when she was the first women's champion over there. So like, again, I know what she's capable of. I just feel like WWE have just been putting so much stock into Charlotte and Becky and, you know, the same couple names over and over again, that they're really not leaving room to, you know, create any more stars in the women's division. And I think we're really seeing that play out now with Tony. So that's my cold. As far as someone heating up, Jonah.
Yes.
I think he dropped the
Oh
rock.
my God, yes.
But he's, marked my words, he's gonna be one to watch, because I've noticed, and this is going back to like Cody when he left WWE. Remember the list that he had? I've noticed that the wrestlers that really, like, when they get cut from WWE and they kind of take it in stride and they really grab the reins as soon as they get out, like, I've noticed that they're the ones that sort of set themselves on a trajectory. And Jonah, just based on what I've seen, like in this past week or past couple weeks, like, he's on that trajectory, like already showing up in New Japan, in Impact, like he's getting busy.
Yo.
Like right off the bat. And he's one that, like, you know, everyone's talking about like Keith Lee, like, as the big disappointment, but like, to me, Jonah was right up there as far as like a charismatic, like super heavyweight goes. I was extremely disappointed with what happened. So I'm excited to see where he takes it from here. But yeah, he's definitely on my heating up radar.
Yeah. Jonah is one of those guys that I'm like, yes, 100%. I was so hyped to see him in the,
Yep.
no pun intended, but the impact that he made with Josh Alexander was like, yes, 100%. You know, a person I'm going to put into my heating up, if you guys haven't been paying attention to MLW, you need to be. He's a friend of the show. He's one of my really good friends / acquaintances, Alex Kane, open weight champion. By far, bro, congratulations on the title. Just super hyped for you. And I was just seeing the episode where he won it. I was like, this is amazing. I'm so hyped for him. So yes, that would be my guy who I think is warming up.
I was, you know, I'm not gonna lie, like, I was after the unification match with Fatu and Hammerstone, I was very curious, like, where they were gonna go from there. Because they signed so many new guys. I said, this is an opportunity right now to really like call your next shot. And I'm very happy they went with Kane. I saw him for the first time at the it was the what's the big Battle Riot?
Okay.
Battle Riot in Philly. And I was just blown away. His intensity, he reminds me of Lesnar, honestly. I know Lesnar's a bit polarizing, but like I'm talking about like the good side of Lesnar, you know, like but just the intensity and the just spamming suplexes, like, who doesn't pop for that? Like, it's great. So yeah, I'm super excited to see where they go from there. And I'm glad they went with putting the open weight belt on a younger guy.
Yeah, me too. I genuinely love watching MLW. Like, I know they have it on YouTube. You can watch it on Access TV as well. And they're on Vice. So you guys can watch their show pretty much like everywhere. But yeah, I was super hyped seeing him just kind of explode on the scene. And we invited him on the show and he came on. We did an interview with him. And I'll be honest, I did it off of like TikTok. I just saw a message and I told him, I was like, hey, do you want to come on my show? And he was like, yeah. And then like, I was like, I'll send you a message on IG. And then like, from there, we just started trading stories back and forth. And then like, so, you know, like we had him on the show and we were like, I genuinely was like, I don't even know how we accomplished this. Like,
yeah, he's good. He's one of those guys. He just has that intensity about him. So I'm excited. Sky's the limit.
Side note, and this is on a sidebar conversation. If we're going to our second, have you ever reached out to a person that you want to try to book on the show and then they just respond and you're just like, they actually responded to me?
Yeah. You
don't have to drop names. I'm just getting curious.
Well, no, you know what the crazier thing is? When you're a promoter, like in a big name reaches out to you because like they're going to be in the area and they're trying to get another booking. And again, I'm not going to name names, but like, yeah, I'm guilty of it. I've had my mark out moments. But yeah, no, I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
I did, and actually, on an episode that we did, I just right there on the spot. We started the show, and I was like, I'm just gonna be honest. I'm just gonna fangirl for a quick second before we go into it. And I did. I went with it, and I was like, it was just too funny. So we do have some comments in really quick. Yeah, I'll get to you, JJ. We have some comments in really quick. Someone, Rodney, what's up, bro? Said that Kofi had a baby. That's why he hasn't been on TV for a while. So thank you. Then I'm going to go with the second one. Congratulations. Then I'm going to go with my second person, who I have to agree, Tony Storm. Okay. They made her look like an idiot on SmackDown, just having her get pied in the face twice and just take it.
And here's where I'm about to go, because you mentioned Tony Storm, and I saw this comment on Wrestle Talks, one of their videos from like yesterday. It was like, Tony Storm's main roster run so far. Beats Zelina Vega in debut. Doesn't have a match for almost 2 months. Gets involved in Liv Morgan's, at the time, endless feud with Carmella. Loses to Zelina Vega in the first round of the Queen's Crown tournament, and what wasn't even the worst thing in the tournament on that episode of SmackDown.
Yeah.
First one eliminated for Team SmackDown at Survivor Series. To be fair, she was eliminated by Liv Morgan, who needed the momentum going into her feud with Becky. But it doesn't matter because Liv gets eliminated right after that. And then she gets pied on her face by Charlotte.
Not very fun.
That is horrible.
I mean, I could only think of one other thing that would be worse is if like you're the very first NXT draft pick for the draft, and then you get utilized in a promo, and then you don't have a match, and then you get used in another promo, and then you get cut. I'm not gonna put names out there, but you know, they may have had a hit row somewhere on there. But let's jump in to our next debate topic, which this is gonna be fun. I can't wait. So a lot of people are saying it. If you didn't, you've probably been living under a rock. It's no secret. We're gonna talk about it here. AEW opening up right away, right, with CM Punk, MJF, in the promo, and a lot of people have said it is the greatest promo battle of all time. And we're going to be here to talk about it. Is it? I don't know. But we're going to start with JJ first. So, JJ, what do you think about CM Punk, MJF being the greatest promo battle of all time?
It's kind of hard when you say, oh, this is the great, you know what I mean? With, you know, your mindset, and it's like recency bias. I like the promo. I felt like, and it was more like a roast session, and I'm here for that. The greatest ever, probably not, but it's definitely up there, and I would say that it's definitely probably one of the best, if not the best, promos of this year. All things considered, I think we have to tone down on the greatest moments yet. We got to wait like another like 5 years to actually see like the impact that it had on, you know what I mean, before we can really start saying like greatest promo battle ever type of shtick. But it was definitely an amazing promo by both of them. There was definitely a lot of Easter eggs thrown, even like, you know, WWE shots. Who doesn't like them? I know some people hate them, but you know, it's gonna happen. I thought it was a great promo. Well, not good, but a really great promo. But I don't think that we can say that it is the greatest of all time just yet.
Okay, cool. Alex, what you think?
Yeah, again, I think it was great. I enjoyed it. Greatest of all time. Again, I think that there is a recency bias, like, you know, give it a few years. Let's see if it holds up. It's, you know, it was good. It did everything that it had to. You know, Punk MJF, that's a match that just sells itself, really. So anything, you know, promo wise is really just icing on the cake, in my opinion. But yeah, it was unpopular opinion. I think it went a little too long. I don't think that
Thank you. Yep.
I don't think any promo segment needs to go 18 minutes. And I know that a lot of that was like padding for like the audience reactions and stuff like that, but like you can trim the fat a little bit. Yeah, it was good. It was the barbs were as sharp as I expected them to be. I mean, now we're kind of entering into like, if I was doing it, like what I would do differently, but I kind of wanted, and it's not too late for them doing it. I hope they do, but I would really, they mentioned it, but they didn't dig into it as much as I wanted them to, like dig into the whole, like, the fact that like MJF like grew up watching Punk and was a fan of his. Like I wanted Punk to take that picture of, that picture that's going around the internet, the one of like little 10-year-old MJF like at the meet and greet table with him. I wanted Punk to show that shit on the Titantron. Seriously. Like everyone, all the fans have seen it. Like,
Yeah.
like I'm saying, like, go for broke. Like that's something that's, the one thing, right, that really makes this feud unique is that age gap, and that the fact that one grew up watching the other. I mean, we haven't had a really like highly anticipated feud again with that age and kind of generational gap since Rock Hogan. And even then it was like, The Rock grew up in the business, so it wasn't quite the same dynamic. But yeah, I would say, like, lean into that more. I think for me, like, like that would be a perfect way to, not only sell the match, but also like develop MJF's character a bit more. To me, I think heels are at their most interesting when they're vulnerable. And I think like kind of exposing that, like an MJF, he's so braggadocious and he's so insufferable and he's so cocky, like dredging that up, like I think would really just be a great way to get into his head and develop his character a little bit. I don't know. Did any of you guys see the documentary, the Kenny Williams documentary? Kenny Johnson, is it? The documentary filmmaker. He did one on MJF like right before he got signed. And I was so upset about it because I was so invested in it. But like they did this whole thing where like they went to his house and like the pictures were like fake, and he was like, they sort of hinted at this whole like kind of like darker side of him, that like he, like his whole thing was like this projection, and he was like, his whole outward appearance was like fake. Like that really interested me. Like I thought that was so fascinating, and like it made total sense for the character, that like everything is just him like compensating for like the thing. Like, so to me, this is an opportunity to like revamp that, and really add some dimension to the character. And I hope they go for it.
No,
That went way off the rails. I'm sorry.
No. And
No.
I 100% like, I agree with everybody, just kind of in the sense of saying that like, it's kind of recency. I mean, let's be real. This was only a few days ago, but the biasness of it is like so fresh. People are just like, yeah, we'll call it the greatest of all time. I was like, I don't know, man. I was like, because when I look back at the Usos and the New Day, like those guys cut some serious promos on each other in the ring. Yeah. And I'm not even talking about the rap promo. There were some other ones that they did that were just so good, right? So I don't know if I could put it as the greatest of all time. Plus, we're not even talking about, Michaels and Austin, or Rock and Hogan. And we're not talking about like, we're not even going further back, right? With Flair, just like the way he was able to cut his promos and like throw like sharp ass barbs before like it was cool to throw the barbs. Yeah. So, it is tough to say like, yeah, this is like one of the greatest promos of all time. I think when we go into the future, I'll definitely say, well, I should back that up first. Saying it's the greatest of all time. It will go down as one of the greatest of all time, just because of like the way they're able to interact with each other and even just play off of it. Like I genuinely popped when, when Punk was like, hey, no, I just thought that MJF stood for my jealous fan. And then how and if you knew, you knew, and if you didn't know,
There you go.
you found out later on Twitter what that was all about.
Well, that's what I was going to say too, is that it accomplished what it needed to accomplish, which was that, people have been saying for years, literally since he got signed, like people have been saying like, oh yeah, like MJF is like the next, Flair or the next Piper or the next, like, just really convincing shit-eating heel. And people have been saying like, oh, he's the best promo since, and they're putting him in the same conversation as, again, the Flairs, the Rocks, the Punks, right? They're putting him in that conversation, and that was always, at least from what I'd seen, that was always met with pushback. Now, for the first time, Tony Khan was in a position where, like, okay, he's being compared to all these people. Well, now we got one of them on our roster, and now we can actually put them. So it proved that, yeah, he can stand toe to toe with, one of the greatest promos of all time. Yeah, and convincingly. So in that sense, yeah, it absolutely accomplished what it set out to. I'm curious to see, and again, it accomplished what it set out to in terms of, selling the story. I am invested. I am along for the ride at this point.
Because I want to piggyback on what you said, Alex, when you were talking about character work and how he was a big fan of Punk. It's almost like the syndrome effect is like what I call it. Syndrome from The Incredibles.
Yep.
Definitely. What made him such a compelling villain is that he was, he loved Mr. Incredible in that sense, CM Punk, and then he just he grew up maybe despised to hate him, and he became the villain. And I think it just ticked on me. I was like, wait, when you were talking about it, I was like, oh, this makes so much sense. It reminds me of this, and
absolutely
go all in on it, yeah.
Because it's a very unique circumstance that they have with that. It's not, very often that you have, two guys getting involved in a feud with one another where there is that differential in age and experience and things like that, where you actually have one who is young enough to have idolized the other. Lean into it. Like, that's what I would do.
And like, how awesome is it though? Because like MJF, I think he's like 22, 23 years old, maybe getting close to 24. I'm not even sure. He's really, whatever it is, he's relatively young, and he's so good. And they've not only put him up with one, but they put him up with two, because he got to have promo battles with Chris Jericho. And I know, John Moxley as well, but that I wouldn't really caveat Moxley as like the greatest promo guy. But to have barbs back and forth with Jericho, like, and Punk, like, and and soon enough it will be with Sting, right? And that'll be a thing that happens.
No, it's very clear. I mean, especially now with the 4 pillars thing going on. I mean, AEW has called their shot. Like, they are fully 100% behind those 4. And MJF, as much as I hate to agree with him in kayfabe, he is right. Like, I do feel like he is a hair ahead of the others. Just as far as like having the full package of, being able to work and being charismatic and the look and everything. So I'm excited to see where it goes. In a sense, this, to me, if they do it right, this could be like his final, I don't want to say test, but like, this could very much be his final, like, stepping stone, if you will.
His legacy, yeah.
Because if he, I mean, with how over Page is right now, I can't think of a better to eventually take that title off of him. If they're trying to create another star, create another top heel or a new top heel.
Yeah. No, I think you're right on the nose with it. And even he said it too, like on the show. It's not like a matter of if, but when he becomes champion. He's 100% right. Like, he is a future champion in AEW. To be honest, he's a future champion in pretty much any promotion that he wants to walk into. Like, I
Oh,
don't,
yeah.
I don't, he's like we say, like, there's certain people that are like, especially like in WWE, that we talk about how like the total package, and then like for some reason, like they don't explode like they should. But MJF is one of those dudes who legitimately, like, he's got great mic work, he's a great worker, he's got his technical ability is just through the roof. And then the crazy part is he doesn't take any like massive bumps. So you're talking about a guy
He
who
doesn't-
wrestles like, and I don't want to, if you see this, I'm not trying to say this, MJF, but he works a safe style similar to like The Miz, which allows him to have such a long career. And he's going to be one of those guys, and it's going to be awesome.
I gotta put over Creative Pro for that, because we use a lot of their guys, and MJF
Yeah.
is from there. But yeah, they're one of the best schools in the Northeast. For that reason, is that they just have this kind of like conservative approach to training their students. Just like, yeah, you don't need to take crazy bumps to sell a match, to sell a story, to do it. They're all about like making the little things count, and just really, it's all about the performance for them and the character work. And they're just very good with just drilling that home. And it's no surprise when you look at who runs it. It's Brian Myers, FKA, Kurt Hawkins, and Cardona, I believe, comes in and helps him.
Yeah.
So
Hi, Phil. Put it out there. But yeah, I mean, you know what, it's cool to see. And like I said, these guys are gonna have like nice long careers, because it's crazy when you say like Creative Pro really does make like these great workers who know how to tell good stories, and they don't have to do anything crazy. Like, sorry, I love watching Darby Allin work, right? But those bumps are gonna catch up to him, and people are gonna be like, that's the reason why he's kind of walking the way he's walking, But
yeah,
right now, he gets to enjoy what he's doing, and I'm grateful, worried,
absolutely.
but grateful.
Yeah, it's true.
But that is it. We only have 2 debate topics, and like I said at the top of the show, there's no Red Dog Power Rankings. You guys got the match of the week, okay? So enjoy it, all right? Next week, we'll have it back, all right? It's a thing. But for right now, we also got to mention too, guys, if you guys need to, which you guys should, because it's, the weekend of Black Friday, Christmas is around the corner. You guys need stuff to buy, right? Right behind me, you guys see the merch, okay? 3 Count Podcast. You guys can find that on prowrestlingtees.com/3 Count Podcast. You guys can follow us on all your favorite social media platforms at 3 Count Pod, or on Twitter at 3 Count_pod. Go follow us, and give us likes, follow, subscribe to us here on YouTube, subscribe to us on Facebook, subscribe to us wherever you see us. Rumble, OnlyFans TV, not OnlyFans. All right, that's just what we do, okay? But Alex, go ahead and let them know where they can find you as well.
Oh yeah, make sure to follow Invictus Pro Wrestling on all our social media platforms. Keep up to date on all the cool stuff we got coming up. You can follow us on Twitter at Invictus Pro WRE1. Follow us on Facebook, Invictus Pro Wrestling, and you can follow us on Instagram at Invictus Pro Wrestling.
There you go. JJ, let them know about what you got going on with the YouTube channel.
Alrighty, so on my JJ Reviews YouTube channel, I just put up it was on Thanksgiving, I put up a Spider-Man No Way Home trailer breakdown. Went scene by scene, because I know that's probably one of the hottest movies coming up in about like 3 weeks or so. So I did a little trailer breakdown. I mean, it's a little long, but I think you guys will enjoy it. So go check it out. And yep, that's all I have.
So not only do we talk about this 3 Count Podcast, but also, guys, if you guys need to, which you guys should, prowrestlingtees/the_Red Dog 85 or whatamaneuver.net/collections/Red Dog, of course, and then you guys can find me on all your social media platforms at the_Red Dog 85. You guys know what that means. We gotta take this home. Okay, I say this all the time on the interview show. We gotta take this home. All right, this is it. It's the finish. Okay, it is what it is, guys. Thank you for coming and hanging out with us for a little bit. We love you guys, and we will see you guys next week. Goodbye, everybody.
Hey guys, it's the host of the 3 Count, Chaz Evans here. Make sure to let you know that I don't run shit, I don't do shit, I just talk shit. And make sure you subscribe to our podcast. What else did you do? You should also follow us on all social medias. That's the Facebook at 3 Count Podcast, the Instagram at 3 Count Pod, and the Twitter at 3Count_pod. Also, if you like us a lot, you should definitely buy a t-shirt at prowrestlingtees.com/3countpod, and that's the number 3. Don't be an idiot and type in THREE, because you're not going to find anything. So make sure you follow us at 3 Count Pod or 3Count_pod on Twitter and buy a shirt. Be there or be somewhere else.